Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are in a very hot room here at the studio, and Ange and I are going to share a detox practice with you all. And we hadn't landed on a detox this week, so you'll see on the channel there's a new class that I was able to record yesterday, which is called the 60. The 60 is definitely a practice that opens up and say all of the doors. And you don't have to feel like you have to go through all of those doors, but the opportunity or invitation is going to be there. So that's on the channel as of yesterday. And then we also put up a flow detox practice this week on Monday. So welcome back for our weekly detox. Again, remember you can use your yoga blocks, get some pillows or blankets, and that might support you in some of the postures. And the idea is to let go. This is a practice we love a lot, and we share it, Angela and I, quite often. And it's actually a practice that we prefer, and it's not that you're not, doing something physically. You're actually doing a lot into the physical layers of your being, and by sitting in this compression. Okay? Now, there are signs and symptoms and things that, if you're feeling really sharp or acute inflammation, or if you get into a pose and it feels like pins and needles, or it feels like a little stabbing, you don't want to sit with those kinds of sensations, right? A general state of compression, right? An achiness even from letting the weight get deeper into the joints. This is where we want to be. And so if you ever have questions about things that you're feeling that you're not quite sure about, email me, joek@urban728yoga.com, or message us on Instagram at urban728yoga, and we can help provide a little bit more insight and guidance, obviously, since we're not practicing in person. And let's start lying down onto your backs. And spread your feet out into a distance and where you feel the hips let go. If you go too wide, you can run into the bone structure of the hips. Soften the heels back in just a little bit, but wide enough. And the arms by your side, shoulders landing into the mat. And you'll notice that we start in the majority of our practices lying down on our back in Shavasana. Shavasana being a reflective state of letting go. And that can mean something to you physically, where you've been holding your body up all day, and finally it's time to rest and relax. Let the ground support you, and it could also mean something on an emotional level. If you've been really charged and attached into an emotional experience or relationship in your life, and you can get onto your mat for an hour, give it a little bit of space. Nobody else has to know, and that you're giving that space but you. And then of course the mental elements, and a lot of what we can hold on to in our memories and long-term memories. If we're not letting go of these on a regular basis, the strength of those attachments build up. May our reality become influenced by the story at which we're constantly entertaining, and it feels like you're playing that tape over and over and over and over again, same old tape. But a practice like this can bring you to the forefront, say, hey, look what's right in front of you. Look at this day, feel this energy. Hey, look at the sky. It doesn't even have to be blue. Right? We had what I like to call rainstorm here this morning in Los Angeles, and what I mean by that was I think there was about 10 sprinkles of moisture that hit my windshield. But look at something like that. You had no idea that that was going to happen. And you see that you can form a connection, right? It can mean something. You can take that something with you into the space of your being. And who knows, we may even find this in relaxing. And when I say we're in a hot room today, I'm talking a very hot like the floor is hot to touch, hot room. Take the next 30 seconds or so, check in. A little movement to your fingers and your toes, please. And roll out your wrists, make it a little bit bigger. Roll out your ankles. You can stretch your arms over your head. And bend your legs so that your feet are flat. You roll onto your right side. And use your left hand to come on up to a seat, so we'll come off of our backs and sit cross and shin in front of the other. And see how this feels to sit. It might feel nice to pull out the flesh of your bum, feel your sitting bones ground. And then we'll adjust ourselves into a more neutral spine. Shoulders over your hips, ears back over your shoulders, and your arms can rest. Let your chest muscles release, and the muscles around your shoulders and your neck. This may look more like a traditional seated meditation position. I tell people all the time, as long as your head is above your heart, what if you have something going on with one of your knees or your ankle? You might feel better having one leg out in front, one leg bent. You might feel better having something underneath your bum, propping yourself up a little bit. The idea is to sit with less resistance upon entry. And then what we encounter in the feelings will be based on your ability to surrender into gravity and let gravity come through. A lot of times I'll have these conversations within myself, looking at in more detail certain muscles or groups of muscles. If you have a body that is used to firing all the time, the muscles don't simply like to stop working. And so there's a benefit as to why we sit in some of these postures 3, 4, 5, even longer, minutes at a time. And give yourself a greater chance and to release and to let go. You can take your left hand off to the side onto the floor. And so that left arm is going to become your kickstand. You let the weight come over into that left hand. And then take your right arm and start to reach it up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And then see how it feels to over, and so you're creating a little bit of a lateral side bend and towards the hand that is on the ground. And now this would not be so detox-like if we were to hold this arm up in space. So let that hand and go behind your head. Your palm that is grounded to the mat fully supports you here. And then you'll notice to a greater degree that you're holding on less. It takes a little bit to balance, but once you have your balance, you can close your eyes. And we sit. You will probably encounter some discomfort upon entry. Now, we can't assume that the discomfort is going to become greater. It may become less. If you got an achiness in your shoulders, say you hold a lot in your shoulders, we're actually compressing in that top arm shoulder and putting more weight. We're adding gravity and weight and through flexion, but we're doing it for the detoxification. We're doing it eventually and so that we can release the constriction and let the fresh blood flow rush into that part of our body. But we got to be able to stay a little bit, and the deterrent into staying or sitting still most of the time is the mind. I'm sure we've all had our moments during the pandemic of, wow, it can be really challenging. And to sit still, I got to change the environment. But through this practice, and you can really investigate the evolution of that environment and how it's impacting you from the inside out. And staying even when your mind says, ooh, gosh, I really want to move. Common question in detox is people will say, well, what am I supposed to be doing? If you're watching this right now, you can't tell what we're feeling or what another human being is feeling. So there's a great lesson in that. You never know what somebody else is feeling. I mean, what do they say? Don't judge a book by its cover. But on top of that, what are you supposed to be doing? Nothing. It's a practice of doing nothing. And to most people mind, in the culture and society that we live in here in the West, doing nothing is never seemingly a reasonable option. Well, it's something you're fully supported in when you're being guided through one of these experiences. Do nothing or do less. And continue to do less until one day you might have your own interpretation of nothingness. And soften the chin. You bring your left hand back down. And then feel this release as you bring your hands back into your lap. Head above your heart. And you can probably feel the difference on one side of your back now versus the other. If you're ever at a crossroads in your life, this is a great place to express the curiosity. What does it mean to be going and flowing in the right direction? What do you need to see? Or what can be shared with you, say, if you weren't going in that direction that serves you into your highest self? It could be a minute in these poses where everything becomes clear. Where your understanding blends in with strength in a peaceful way. non-harming, non-violence, ahimsa. But where you're really able to listen into the guidance and that you're fostering within yourself. And then you'll see those layers wrap around you, supporting layers, the supporting cast, the energy that you're cultivating, the people that you're holding space with and sharing time with. And switch, bring your opposite hand to the floor beside your mat. And lean some weight into that hand and ground, and then reach the opposite arm up and over. And this would call for a lot more physical strength and to keep this arm in space. So let's let the hand go behind the head. And the shoulder can rest down as much as possible in its flexed state. When people find themselves hanging out in these postures, it changes the way that our minds interpret patience. Things I've noticed, and you become better listeners. You're able to honor the perspective of other human beings. We're designed to take information in. If we have the tools, we have plenty of space and to process that information. If we don't, everything becomes a reaction. You give away your own human experience when you start reacting to everything that is going on around you. If you encounter the drift, it's normal. You can fall out when you're in these postures. Falling out doesn't mean coming out of the shape. Falling out means that your mind and the frequency of the waves in your mind And you lower down, and you start to hover sometimes between being awake and being asleep. And let's take it slow. Bring your hand off your head. You feel that arm release, hands into your lap. And plug in by stacking your spine. Feel a lightness, even though that can come in transition with an achiness. But feel it deeper in your body. Go through your torso. And feel down to your hips. You see if that brings a little bit more peace to your breathing. Start to open your eyes if they're closed. Let's release these legs. And so bring your right leg out in front of you. And tuck your left foot to your inner right thigh. You want to find a sensation for the back of your right leg and your hamstring, so torso can go into the right, chest over your knee. And hands in front, go ahead and round your spine. Bring your head down. If you get into it and you want to make your adjustments somewhere in the next 3 breaths, and then we'll begin to settle. And keep your chin low, start to curl your back in. And let the left leg go straight, lie all the way down onto your back. And like I was saying earlier, let the ground support your release in all ways. the soles of your feet together, let your knees fall apart. And take the arms up over the head, make like a Y shape. And then the arms can be heavy, make any adjustments in your shoulder. And feel a sensation to your inner thighs. If it's overwhelming you in your low back, you could always put some spacers in between your legs and the ground to block. Maybe some big pillows, and so that your knees and your legs have something to fall out into. Deep breath in, full breath out. And start to turn your knees back up towards each other. And your hips return to neutral. And keep the legs bent. Separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. And the knees can fall in towards each other, and then bring your arms back down by your side so your shoulders are in releasing their compression. And again, as you move the arms, you may want to reset in your head and your shoulders on the mat. And you can come back to this practice daily. There's always something new. There's always something that we're attaching to as human beings in the physical world. And so there's always something to let go of. And some days you'll notice some attachments hold on a little bit more firmly. Other days you're able to fall right into it. Your mind seems to release and let go, and sooner than later. You can heel toe your feet back together and reach your left arm up over your head and roll onto your left side. Use your right hand, come around so you're facing the back of your mat on all fours. And setting up for a low lunge, right foot outside your right hand. Left knee slides back. You could always put extra padding underneath your left knee. And start on your hands, come down to your forearms. And let your head fall with gravity. Go slow to make your way back up to your palms. And support yourself in lifting your chest back up and away from the ground. And slide your right foot back. And as you come onto all fours, and keep your bum stacked over your knees. Come down onto your forearms. And let your head rest. Your head can come down towards the ground. Your head can rest into a forearm. But rest. It can be such a reset. And for your overall state of being, these classes, come back up to your palms. And then swing your left foot forward so it's outside your left hand. And personally, any lunge, I feel it a lot. And again, the feeling isn't in something outside that realm of discomfort, and there's certainly the feelings of the stretch, and there can be the achiness and the support structure of your arms and your shoulders and your neck. But however you can position yourself and support in the release, and so where your muscles aren't holding you up as much as they were before, or consider when you're standing, your body's always holding itself up. And let gravity take you down. never know when we're going to slide one of these lunges in. They're always real. Incredibly real. Take it slow. Make your way to your hands. You don't know if there's another option other than taking it slow. And slide your left foot back. And I guess the key is really, as much as you may want to jolt yourself or run from those sensations, and that we take our time with them, come down onto your foot. You can let your head release, relax. Let's do a little crawl forward on our elbows. And so we can stretch out onto the belly and release your hips into the ground, your pelvis. Whew. Let your arms support you, whatever feels good. Turn a cheek to the mat. And curl your heels into your bum. And give yourself a little windshield wiper with your legs going side to side. And pause your windshield wipers. Turn your chin, hands under your shoulders. And press your way back up to all fours. And we'll spin ourselves back around facing the top of the mat. And come into a cross-legged seat. If you hold more tension in one side of your body and your hips than the other, like I do, that should be very clear to you at this point from those lunges. Let's find the lightness in the stack of the spine, head above your heart. And turn your palms to face up, so your forearms, the backs of your wrists. What a trip, this practice, the detox. You never know where it's going to go. You're not quite sure how your mind and the representation of your being is going to respond into stillness. But when your vision is stillness, right, the idea is that internally we can cultivate a greater appreciation and for peace and less reaction. And even if your mind was moving at speeds during your practice and you were still able to sit, you dissolve some of that energy through what you're feeling in your body. And even if you found one moment of lightness, it's all good. So thank you for receiving these adjustments. Thank you for being on your mat. This practice does make a difference as you relate with every other human being on this planet, and especially those that are closest to you. This practice will change the vibe of a household and through a single human being. And so thank you. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and bow your chin into your chest. Take a moment and to seal your practice today. Happy Friday. And I look forward to sharing more with you. Thank you all for continuing to practice with us. And the light in me honors the light in each of you. May reach out if you need anything or if you have any questions. Namaste.